Good morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for this Tuesday, October 13th. And currently we have no significant fire impacts despite unseasonably warm and dry conditions. We do have some longer, cooler nights expected. We will see showers moving into most areas by the end of the weekend. Precipitation over the past 7 days, you can see fairly light. Most areas received either no precipitation or that first shade of blue, which is basically a trace to less than a quarter inch. Now looking at our fuel conditions, ERCs, most stations are actually not reporting, but some of our drier areas are up here into parts of the mountains of central Idaho and also a bit here towards the Uintas and parts of Wyoming as well. Now looking at current fuel conditions, you can see two areas of concern up here in our Zone 1 in the mountains of central Idaho. ERCs are well above normal, although relative given the time of year, if this were midsummer, conditions would be fairly benign. And across our Uintas, extremely high ERCs for this time of year, some of the highest of the season so far, and that's primarily to missing out on a lot of precipitation and some fairly dry conditions. Now look at our water vapor imagery. We can see that we have low pressure off the Baja region, as well as another low up in the Great Lakes, and high pressure nosing on in with fairly dry, warm conditions. This high building in will keep us warm and dry for the next at least 2 days, but eventually this moisture with this Baja low will track further inland and give us an increasing chance of showers, especially by the end of the week. Our 7-day significant fire potential for today, you can see the only main area of concern will be up into parts of western Idaho, as well as also some of the Uinta region as well. Otherwise, most areas remaining in that green, moist category. Also of note, fairly dry right along the Sierra front. And for tomorrow, Wednesday, October 14th, you see that low pressure area starting to fall apart, but starting to push its moisture onshore across southern California. Otherwise, a dry wedge of air with that high pressure ridge further to the east, pushing a lot of dry air and warm temperatures across a good portion of the Great Basin. You can see our 7-day colors remain fairly unchanged on the right. And then on Thursday, you see that high pressure ridge overall build across much of the west, but underneath that high, the residual moisture from that weakening low pushes not only across California, but into parts of southern and central Nevada, so showers and clouds moving into those areas. Our 7-day significant fire potential remains fairly unchanged on the right. Then on Friday, you see that moisture starts really expanding across not just Nevada, but also across Utah as well with that southerly flow. You can see on the right-hand side our moisture levels go into the moist area in both all of Nevada and Utah, still hanging on by a thread across some of the mountains of southwestern Idaho. Now by Saturday, you see that some interesting things happen. This moisture actually expands up northwards across the Pacific Northwest, covering all of Idaho and Wyoming. That's in response to this trough of low pressure squeezing out some of that subtropical moisture and actually expanding the aerial coverage. So lots of clouds and showers across the entire area. Starting Saturday, moisture levels go moist in all areas here you can see on the right. And on Sunday, that pattern continues. A weak trough of low pressure carves out across Nevada, so continuing the clouds and showers across a good portion of the region. Another wave of precipitation about to move onshore across the Pacific Northwest. We stay moist in our fire potential coverage. And then on Monday, as that system across the Pacific Northwest moves onshore, continued cloudiness and scattered showers across most areas, except maybe far southern Nevada. But overall, definitely a cooler pattern. You can see that is reflected on our fire potential being in the moist on the right-hand side of the screen. As for the short term, for tomorrow, Wednesday, we do expect to see humidity levels between 15 and 20% in most areas during the afternoon hours. On the right-hand side, you see that winds are fairly light. And as we go into tomorrow, you can see again humidity levels about the same, maybe nudging up a little bit, especially here in southern areas. Winds overall light and variable. And then as we go into Friday, we do start seeing an increase in relative humidity where they were in the mid to upper teens. They'll now be near 25 to 30% as showers spread into Nevada and into parts of southern Utah as well. Wind speeds on the right-hand side, again, remaining fairly light. As for expected precipitation the next 7 days, you can see that overall the models are showing widespread wetting rains for all areas. Heaviest will be here across southern Nevada and much of southern and central Utah, where the first two shades of blue indicate anywhere from a half inch to as much as an inch of precipitation. And even up here in Idaho, this darkest shade of green is indicating anywhere from a quarter to a half inch of rainfall. As for the extended outlook into our second week, temperature on the left, you can see that above normal temperatures for much of the country as our current El Nino pattern is keeping any Arctic air bottled up into central Canada, remaining fairly warm up in Alaska as well. On the right-hand side, precipitation-wise, although it's quite dry in terms of expectations along the immediate west coast, becomes normal to slightly wetter than normal as you head further to the east, especially across the eastern portion of the Great Basin. This concludes our briefing. Have a safe day.